same time zone as I am, or good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're joining from. So welcome to June edition of Data Engineers in Canada monthly webinar series. And today I'm going to be talking about, it's a live demo, and I hope it will be more of a demonstration than actually conversation. Ollama Chatbox. So Ollama plus Chatbox, I'm going to explain why I have it as this way. LM Studio and why I don't have LM Studio plus something else. And GPT4All. There are other LLM, local LLM tools like Jan. There are a few other ones, but these are, to me, are the ones I think are worth your attention, And for a 1 hour demo, these are even the ones I think, you would find more value in someone demoing to you. So I'll take about 50 minutes to do these. Also watch out for your questions in the Q&A. I've got the 2 big screens. Okay, so I can see someone asking, Young is asking, hi, Michael, could you share info on the compute results that you use on your laptop? I missed that. I will mention that. So thanks for asking. I will show you my computer resource. But beyond that, I also have a MacBook. Unfortunately, it's not here. And it's a 16 gig RAM MacBook, and I run similar models on it. It's good. In fact, all these new architecture like silicon, MacBooks M silicon chips and Windows laptops that are really using this ARM architecture. I think they are optimized to run AI and Gen AI models. So you can run, I'll give you the kind of how you decide what to run on your device based on your RAM. It's more like if you have 16 gig RAM device, which means you don't want to use a model that will use more than half of your RAM, meaning max, you don't want a model that will use more than 8 gig out of your 16 gig. Then the way we look at it is the number of parameters. So I think it's also double the parameters. So for 8 gig RAM, you might be able to run a 10 billion, 16 billion parameter model, but you don't want to do more than twice the multiplier of your RAM. So if the RAM you want to allocate is 8 gig, you don't want to run a model that is more than 16 billion parameters. I'll show you some of these, So let's first follow the structure I have laid out. But thanks for the questions. Keep them coming. I'll make sure I don't skip any questions. Okay. And next month, we've got like a celebrity coming to present to us, so you don't want to miss this. He's Ahmad Awais. He's the founder of Langbase. Langbase is one of the funded Gen AI startup. I know you've heard of popular ones, but he's also in the category of the big ones that are running the show in San Francisco. So Langbase is one of the Gen AI development platforms, and they recently launched an app that allows you to vibe code an AI agent. So they're a large company, in their own, in this space, they can be considered some of the movers and shakers in that space, and we are lucky to be able to get the founder to come present to us next month. So you don't want to miss this. You should sign up. I'm going to share the sign up link. Let me even share it now, because I know once I start the session, it's difficult to remember to. And if you are not yet registered on our community page, make sure you sign up as a member so you get access to the recording and slides when we send them as emails to everybody. So this is the event page for next month. I'm just going to say, I know. Next month's session. Okay. And I'll move this away. Just a little bit about me. I am the organizer of Data Engineers in Toronto Meetup Group. We are always looking for speakers. So if you have something to present that is within the domain of data engineering, AI, machine learning, and BI to, just reach out to us in the group or me directly via LinkedIn. So let me share my LinkedIn profile. Once you reach out to me, via LinkedIn. We can organize a spot for you as long as we know what you want to present on. We add value to the community. So connect with me on LinkedIn. And we are always looking for great presenters. Okay. Right. So let's talk about the whole agenda for today. Why would you want to use a local LLM? So for instance, I've got a subscription to OpenAI. I tried to open all the pages I had. Yeah. Yeah. So I've got a developer account with OpenAI. I'm able to access all of these reasoning models, their flagship models, the cost optimized models, and I use them for client projects and pro bono work. I'm always looking for pro bono jobs because I can only do stuffs on my night and weekends. So I want things that I can work at my own pace. And a lot of times I find that everything I want to do can be done by the major platforms APIs, either Claude or OpenAI, any other one that you like to use. The challenge that I've faced is that the cost can rack up because you just running the codes, and sometimes I'm more of the kind of person who likes to automate things. So I come from a BI and data engineering domain. So it means everything I do, I'm looking for a way to automate it and use it for things that are maybe like things that take me a lot of time. Then I can automate and have it run, in an automated way, which means I'll be redoing. I'm not just doing sporadic work. I'm probably running it on thousands of items, like the one that made me explore local LLMs. And so there was a situation where I ended up spending about 40 something dollars in just a few minutes of testing a particular Gen AI code that I was writing for. And it was a pro bono project. So it was painful that, I'm not going to recover those costs and I'm spending. So that made me to begin to explore local LLMs because a lot of the fine tuning don't require me to at least focus on the LLM's accuracy. It is more my workflow at the processes branching out the way I want. And so let's start with Ollama. So I think Ollama is the most robust for programming. If you really want to use a local LLM to develop a GenAI project, I mean, you want to be able to swap out your local LLM, your premium LLMs with a local LLM and know that your code will work. I found that Ollama is the best of all the options that I've come across. What I mean is, let's go to the code side. Some of you were in the session we did last month, right? So this is one of the code in that session where I could even open the live code, and you can also connect to my GitHub to access some of these codes. So let me share my GitHub. The trees. Yes, this was the one we did in April, I think. Yeah. So if you look at the daycare research project, you'll notice that okay, I deleted it here, but what I usually do is eventually I will deploy with a premium LLM. But I want to be able to, while developing, swap out this line and say, okay, instead of using OpenAI, I want to use Ollama. I could write a different LLM, locally run LLM here and say to use that, and I do my workflow optimization, my eval, my testing, and all of the things I want to do. And when I'm ready, I just comment out this local LLM and uncomment the cloud LLM. So that's what I want to do. The challenge is if you use an obscure platform, it means you won't be able to do this because they will not have API integration for you to be able to access it via Python, or in my own case, I use LangGraph and LangChain. They might not have a LangChain integration. And so the challenge you face is if you develop using a local LLM that does not have integration with most of the platforms and frameworks you like to use to develop your production LLMs, then you will find out that when you want to now switch over to the production LLM, you are limited. Or in my own case, I start with developing with the production LLM, and when I'm ready to begin to optimize, I switch to a local LLM. You'll be able to switch to those local LLMs. So that's the challenge with most of the, if you search online, you will see a lot of applications. I mean, articles telling you about 6 different LLMs that you can run locally. Unfortunately, not all of them can be exposed via Python code to your own production environment. So that's the advantage I found with Ollama. With Ollama, I can easily swap, from my chat GPT, OpenAI LLM to Ollama. So how does Ollama work? Okay. Let's go here. You go to ollama.com. So I have people. You go to ollama.com. Don't search online. Sometimes when you search online, they will tell you the Ollama doesn't run on Windows, and those are everything in the GenAI space. 1 month ago is like 2 years ago. So I always tell people, forget about search results when you are working in GenAI. Go straight to the platforms. If I'm looking for something that relates to ChatGPT or OpenAI, I go to OpenAI website, or if you're searching, you put, in the search that you want it to be directly from OpenAI, .com. That way you will always get the most accurate information. So you don't get told that something is not possible, whereas it was enabled a week ago. So in this case, for Ollama, go straight to ollama.com, and you can download for Windows, Mac, all the environments that I'm aware for PCs. And as soon as you download and install it, how you use it typically is you go to your command prompt. So I could even use my Anaconda command prompt. In my own case, I have my Python environment set, so I could use any command prompt. And you type Ollama. So when you type Ollama, there's something else. It will show you what you can run with it. But as you can see, you can tell it to show you all of the models you have. You can run a model by typing run. But usually at the start, you will not have any model. When I type Ollama and I write list, you will see the models that I have. These are the models that I have pooled. So we call it pool. Pooling is how you go here to model and say, okay, these are different models that are available. I try to do by newest so that I see the most recent models. And then I look for the ones that are familiar, So this is, I think, coin is from Alibaba. I don't know who the owners of Devstral is, but they are the ones that I know. Phi is from Microsoft. That's Microsoft's open source. IBM Granite. So I usually go for the popular ones. And you want to be careful. You want to watch out for the parameters. Okay, so like this, if I go here, this is latest is like a short link for the most recent model. So it means every time you run pull this command, pull it will, and you put latest. So if I say Ollama pull, let's use Gamma latest. Let's use the one that I have not updated in a long while, 2 months ago. So 5.4 latest. So what that means is whatever is marked latest, this will always keep changing, right now for Llama 4, this is the latest. But whenever I put latest and not the specific model full name, it will always give me the latest. So I don't have to watch out for the model's full name. So if we go to 5.4, hopefully maybe there will be a model that will be more recent than the last one I did. But the way it works is once you can pull, it's going to pull. It's faster now for me because I already have it. So it's just comparing, you know, it's doing a delta pull. If there's any difference, it's, let's see, 5.4. So it's, I now know it's updated to the whatever is currently here right now. But if I pull a model I don't yet have, let's see if there's a small size model that I can use to demonstrate. A 3 billion model is small. So billion parameters, that's the B, that's what it stands for. Do I have a Llama 3.3? Okay, great. So this Llama 3.3 can be a good example, but let's check the size. No, I'm not going to pull this. This is 70 billion parameters. I'm not going to be able to run these on my device. And that brings up the question, how do you decide on what can run on your device? I'm going to jump a bit to GPT4All. So GPT4All has this nice way of showing you what can run on your device. So if I go to models, so this is me jumping ahead because it's easier to show you. Can you see that it says if I want to run 8 billion parameter model, I need an 8 billion RAM required, right? If I want to run a 7 billion parameter model, it's recommending that I use an 8 gig RAM. And so that's how you can estimate it, the number of parameters, the number of RAM that you want to allocate it. So if your whole PC is 8 gig RAM, you don't want to do that because it's not possible for you to use all of your RAM you're going to want to use other things like interact with the model, Q&A and all of that. So the rule of thumb is, I think, if you look at this, you can just say the number of parameters equals in billions, just remove the billion and put GB to know the number of RAM you must have free to use to run it. So that's one quick way of like a rule of thumb to know what to do. So which means I'm not going to be able to run this. I don't have 43 gig RAM available. Okay. And once you have the model, let's pull a model. So you see how to pull a model that I don't yet have. I might remove it afterwards. So that's just that I want to pull a model that I know can be useful for me. Okay, let's pull Quen. So I'm going to pull Quen this. So I'm going to pull the 4 billion parameter one. So the 4 billion parameter means I should have a 4 gig RAM available to run it. And if I do Quen latest, it will pull the Quen 8 billion parameters. And as they update that, all I have to do is just keep updating the Quen latest. So I'm going to use this. So I'll go back here and I'll say Ollama pool, and then I put this and it will start downloading the model into my local PC. And then when it's done, we're going to chat with it. Then I'll also show you how I can go to the code side and begin to, via code, interact with the model and probably even put a streamlit on it to render on web create a chat interface for the model. So let's see that in action. So once it's done, it will see that it's done. And if I write Ollama list, I will see it as one of the models I have already available on my local. Then there's Ollama PS, which will show what model you are running. I'm currently not running any model. So to run a model, I will do Ollama run. So let's run this Quen 3 that we just installed. So now it will begin to use my system resource to run the LLM locally. And then you can chat with it here. So I can say, what is the biggest that you... Okay. So you get this part. Let's go to the part that is more meaningful to us. And so the challenge is that this is in code, right? It's not interesting. You want to chat with it the way you chat on your chat GPT, right? So that's where Chatbox come into the picture. So with Chatbox, I'm able to have a front end, a chat client that I can connect to any LLM, local LLMs or cloud LLMs. So you go to Chatbox. Box. Let me also share the Ollama webpage. Yes, I'm sharing all these resources. So once you download Chatbox and you install it, and then Box, you can go to settings and let me close. I think I have it open previously because that's not the window you get when you open it normally. It will open. Yeah, so this is what you get usually, something like this. So you have to make sure you go to settings. So I go to settings, and then you see you can connect it to OpenAI, to a lot of providers, Gemini and all, even the LM Studio we're going to talk about. But right now I want to connect it to Ollama, and then I'm going to say I want to fetch, and I want it to use the Qwen 3B. So it sees all the models I have locally, and I tell it to use this one in particular, and which means I can now start a new chat and tell it that in this new chat, I want to use the Ollama. So this becomes more familiar as an environment, as a web kind of or chat environment, rather than the command line environment we were using here. Okay, so I can ask the same question. And I should get similar type of answer. Okay. So I think this is a reasoning model. So the reasoning models kind of think through answers. So we could switch to another model and see, but I'm looking at time. I want to talk more about the code part. So you get this up until here. This is why I said Chatbox plus Ollama, right? So what about the code aspects? Okay, so I'm going to go here. So I could also connect it to a code. I can, because of time, I've prepared the environment. I will put all of this on GitHub and share with you all so that you can access it. So I could, let's switch to Llama 3. So I'm going to go back here and say bye. This is how you exit. And then I'm going to run a different model. So I'm going to run Llama 3.2 test. So I'm running that because I already have that in the code as what I want to use now. Okay. So I don't worry too much about this code because the other ones I'm going to use, you will see they're a lot easier to just walk through it because I want to showcase to you if I'm doing things properly, how I normally do this, and I use land graphs. So I felt, let me show you what I do, then I'll show you what is just to showcase interacting code-wise with the other ones. So let's see if this is now loaded. Yes, good. So, and then there's something about Llama. If you are done, it has a web page where you can verify if it is running. I'm able to showcase. I think it's called local host. It has a particular web page. I can just search for it. I think it's easier to get it from Chatbox. I know Chatbox was showing it. Yeah, so I'm just going to grab this Yeah, and I think it will tell me Llama is running. So see, Llama is running. So that's how the chat box is able to connect to it. But let's go back to here. And so I'm going to run this. And what I'm doing here is I'm asking a question that I know the answer, So what country in the world has the most number of lakes? And this will be an opportunity for me to show you the different answers that I'll get from different models. So let's start. So I'm going to set my Python interpreter to the virtual environment. Okay, then I'll run this debug mode. I always put this dummy so that I can put a breakpoint here. Okay, so interestingly, because I have, it says Lama is wrong. It says Finland is often considered, whereas it's not Finland. Okay, no worries. So this is not very interesting, looking at the results from the code from the terminal, right? So what can we do? I have gone a step ahead to say, why not use Streamlit? Streamlit, I keep calling it Streamlit. Streamlit to showcase the answer, right? So let's do that together. So I'm going to just create a new terminal, change into my virtual environment. And then we're going to run Python. And what's the name of the file? Charts. Okay. So this should launch a web page with Streamlit. Okay, let's see if the web page is showing. Oh, I forgot to include, sorry, I gave the wrong command. It's actually Streamlit run, then this is what I'm supposed to run. Right, and I think it's launched as expected. Okay. Okay, great. So you see, it shows me now it's answering correctly. Canada has the most number of lakes, and this is let's see, this is using Llama 3.2. So I'm going to change, going to go back to the code. I will comment out this, and let's use this, and then all I have to do is save here, refresh, saves there. No worries, I can close this. Run it again. That's not supposed to happen anyway. Normally it changes without me having to rerun it. I see. I'm going to comment out, take out this. Okay, so I'm going to take this out. See, that solves the problem. Okay, so that solves the issue. It's running, so see, it's done. So right now it's using, I should be able to see right now it's using model name GPT. So I think this was the issue. It requires model underscore name, whereas I had just model there. So it's using GPT 4.1. So this is what I mean, the fact that I can always switch from one to the other, okay? And so this is Ollama. If you have any question, just let me know, and I can see a lot of questions already. Good. I'm going to come to the questions. I will publish them. All right, I'll come to the questions because I also don't want to break the flow, but thanks, keep the questions coming in. Okay, so let's go to the one that you're going to understand more, like without me bringing my own development pattern into this. So let's go to the next in the agenda, which is, I think, is LM Studio. Let's go to title presentation. So now we've talked through Ollama. Ollama has also got a open web UI, but it doesn't work well. So that's why I didn't recommend it. I would prefer you use Chatbox if you want to connect it to a chat client. So we've done these. So LM Studio. LM Studio is another worthy open LLM platform to explore, at least something to help you run LLMs locally. So I'm going to go to LM Studio on my, I've installed it. So in your own case, you go to lmstudio.ai to install. Let's copy this out. So here you can install, and I already have it installed. So I'm going to just drag here. So when you install it, it's got a nice, unlike the Ollama where I didn't have any software, it was via the command line I could interact with it. This one has got its own, software that can run with the graphic user interface, front-facing client. So I will show you how you typically would use it. When you only, like me, you would not have history. You have to go to models and install a model. So you can search for models that you want to install. So if you go to Discover, you see different models, and then you can, again, these are similar models to what we saw with Ollama. So the pool of open LLMs are similar. Everybody gives you similar options. I think Hugging Face has the most repository, the largest repository of LLMs and open LLMs. So you notice we are seeing very similar list as we had with Ollama. Okay, and let's see if it even tells you. This gives a lot more information about the model than we got from Ollama's webpage. But I think GPT4All gave that useful information of the RAM, recommended RAM size to use. Okay, so I already have installed the ones I want, so I'm going to go out of this and go to show you just the ones I have. So I have a Llama, Mistra, DeepSeek, Microsoft Phi, DeepSeek again. So I'm going to go to the chat interface, go here and pick a model that I already have. So we've already used Llama. I might need to stop running that one that we have on Llama because I need to free up that RAM space. Let's go back here. So if you don't know the exit and you type something that is not acceptable, you might be lucky that it will tell you that if you want to exit, this is the right thing to type. Unfortunately, it didn't tell me with this. But after making so many mistakes, I found out that just slash by is the right one, and slash is how you issue a command that is specific to the platform rather than taking it as a question or as something you're asking the LLM. So /bar is how I exit. If I do Ollama PS, it will show that I'm still running it. So I need to unload it. So let's see if I do Ollama, it shows me all of the commands. So I think stop is the right command I need to use. Stop. I need to put the name of the okay. So if I do PS, good. I'm no longer running any LLM, so I'm done with Ollama. I'm going to close or minimize these. So let's try Mistral, right? So I'm going to, that brings me to the question a lot of people have been asking, what's my PC spec? So let's see together. If I go here and I go to system, here, so I've got 32 gig RAM, and that's the most important thing. I think most of them use your RAM. I've got a GPU too, but uh, you don't hold me on that. I don't think it uses my GPU. Okay, let's see. Does it even show my GPU here? Go to task. Go here, task manager. So pull up system resource. Okay, so I know I have a 12 gigabyte GPU, dedicated GPU, and then I've got 32 gig RAM. But I know it's my RAM it mostly uses, so I don't know if there's a setting I need to do to make it use GPU, but so far all the ones I've been using, it's always been my RAM. Okay, so let's go back here. So I'm going to pick the Mistral. I think I've got 7 gig RAM to give it. Okay, so I'm going to load Mistral. And then we can ask you the same question that we asked them. Okay, so now I'm using Mistral, and then I ask it. So I get, this is not a thinking model. So this is how you know what's not a thinking model. There's the thinking model and there's the, I'll call it the vanilla model, the one that just outputs the answer, doesn't walk you through its thought process. So the thinking model will always give you a longer type of answer. They will use more tokens. They will try to reason through the answers. Like you could almost see its thought process, how it came to the final answer. Let's see if there is a thinking model I can pick here. DeepSeek is a thinking model. So let's switch to DeepSeek. And then I'm going to ask the same question. And you'll see how it will answer it. So it even shows that it's thinking, right? So, all right, I just saw the user asking again. You can't read the most. So it shows me its thought process. Unfortunately, it's wrong. Canada has the most number of leaks. All right, so more to the interesting part is how do I use LM Studio within a code? You know, for me, I'm not interested in chatting with it via a chat tool. Luckily for LM Studio, you don't have to install a client, a chat client. It comes with a chat client. You can even do like a RAG, you know, upload files that you wanted to be aware of. So it gives you that ability. And all of these are not costing you money. They are running from your own PC. So if I want to run a code, I it's very easy to use. All you have to do is pip install LM Studio. And then, you know, if you have already used LM Studio to load a model, then you can refer to that model directly by just saying model equal to LMS, LM Studio.LLM. And so we can ask a question. Let's see what the answer will be this time around. It's going to, I'll put the answer in the chat here. It's going to print it. So, yeah, going to say run file. Okay, so it's not able to detect the model that I have loaded. So I'm going to eject this model and I will use, I'm going to just use this explicitly defined one. So I will explicitly tell it to use Llama 3.2.1. Then, so again, here, save, run. LLM Studio running. Oh, now I remember what is the problem. So this is one thing I find annoying with LLM Studio. With Ollama, the moment you start Ollama, you get the API access instantly. This is what I mean by API access. It shows you that you can connect to it via web. There is a server running, right? For LM Studio, you have to manually start the server. So I have to go here and start the server. So this was the problem. It means even the other thing will have worked. It's just the fact that I needed to manually start the server. Maybe there's a way to set it to auto start, but I prefer the way with Ollama that it starts automatically. So I'm going to just run this again. And the question is, let's use this. So what country is in France? So let's run this again. And this time around, it should work now that we've started the server. Okay, so it says another way of answering the question, Canada has the most, but anyway, you get the answer, right? So let's do autocomplete. If I wanted to do an autocomplete, it's not to answer a question, but so it allows you three things. There is the question, which is this, you ask it a question. There's the autocomplete. The third one, I'll go on the documentation to check out the third one. Let's run this. So once upon a time, it should autocomplete it. It should generate for you creative text. So now it's in a small village next to great mountain. So it's telling a story about Akira. And as for the documentation, where I get most of all this information to know how to interact with it code-wise. Yeah, Studio. So, okay, I should have it in my slides. Okay, I think I've closed it, but we can LM Studio, Python. Yes. Okay, great. So this is where I get to find more details about it. But then how do you know all the APIs? So I had it open previously. Let's see. There's a dedicated page for you to see all the APIs, how you can call it, and what it can do. GitHub. I'm going to go search again. LM Studio. I think this is it. Great. So it can autocomplete. It can answer a question. And there's one more. I think this is the third one. You can have a back and forth chat. Oh, that's the third one. So this is LM Studio. We have one more, GPT4All. If you have any questions, I'm going to answer. Just keep putting your questions in the chat. I'm going to come to them. So LM Studio, if you just want to interact with the UI, if you're okay interacting with it here, this is perfect. You're able to. The only problem I have with this is I'm basically just chatting with it here, whereas I'm always trying to build applications. So that's my own interest. My interest is much more this first category, where I am building, then I want to save costs. So I'm swapping out these with a local one. So that's why I don't care so much about this front end. That's why for me, even though Ollama doesn't have a front end that is as beautiful as this, I use it more. Why? Ollama has a richer, I use LangChain. So with Ollama, I have a very rich LangChain uh, library of tools. So I can do almost everything I do with OpenAI. There are some few restrictions, but almost, at least so far, everything I've been doing with OpenAI, I've been able to swap it out with Ollama. And as long as I put a model that has two calling. So some models don't have two calling. What do I mean? Some LLMs don't have two calling. I can try to demonstrate that to you. Let's see. So two calling is ability for me to tell my AI agent to call the LLM and pass it, like in this case. Am I doing a two calling here? I think so. So yeah, I think let's just see what it means. I'm going to switch to Gemma. I think Gemma does not have two calling as at the last time I checked. So I'm going to turn off LM Studio. So go to Gamma. Around is Gamma. Oh, this one. Yeah. Run this. Next, I'm going to these. Then I'm going to debug it so that we can see. Let's see, is it done running? Okay, great. So for the ones that don't have two calling, I'm not able to replicate everything I do with the flagship LLM. So I'm hoping this will give me one of those errors. Debug. So now I'm using Gemma 3. Two calling is what we call function calling, where your LLM can take a function and I have to take out these streamlets. And it can be ignored. Okay. Worked. But I think I'm not calling any tool. Yeah, so you wouldn't know here, but I've had examples where it didn't work. If there is time, I will go back to the example we did last in April. I had two calling in that, and I can use that as an example to show you that sometimes when you find out that when you swap out the ChatGPT, I mean OpenAI or Gemini or Claude with one of these local LLMs and you're getting errors, it might not be that that what you want to do is impossible. You might just need to change the specific model you are using. So I found that Llama 3 has been the one that has allowed me to replicate. It's not accurate, which like I've mentioned, most times I'm not doing this for accuracy. I'm doing this to optimize my workflow. So I found this to replicate as much as possible what I could do with OpenAI. I have faced restrictions with Gemma. I have also faced restriction with Phi. I've also, I think our DeepSeek has worked. The problem with this DeepSeek is I get a lot of wrong answers from it. So that's why I just defaulted to Llama 3. So just know that sometimes when are not you're getting errors when you switch from OpenAI or Claude to a local LLM like I'm doing here, and you get an error, it might just be that you are using a local LLM that is limited in functionality. Some can only do text and not handle image. Let me see if I can show you how you would do that. Let's go back here. So can you see it tells me this can handle text and image. If I go to another one, this can handle only text. So you have to be aware that there might be restrictions that are just based on the LLM you are using, not that this approach I'm saying does not work. So let's go to the last one, GPT4All. GPT4. I think I have it open previously. Yes, this is. So this also has a very nice interface. I think it's second most popular. Ollama is the most popular, and this is second most popular. So it means, they've got something going well for them. So I hope let me release the LLM I have loaded on Ollama. So I'm going to just here say /y. Here. Stop this. So appears, I don't have anything running. I feed my RAM. Let's check in the speech and also check here on the task manager. It's my task manager. Yeah, so I'm able to see that my memory is now available. Okay. Anyway, I know I unloaded it. So let's go here, start chatting, choose a model. By now, you're already familiar with all of these options here. If you want to install a model that is not, you can search, you can add a model and explore more models and add them. And this even does a nice job of showing you what RAM is required to run the model you're adding. So if you're not interested in programming, a lot of people have recommended this. NM Studio has got a beautiful chat interface too. So I think you can't go wrong with both of them. Just that for, let's see, maybe this allows you to do more RAG. There's something about this that I think makes it also, see, you can connect to local documents. And I think you can connect to a lot more type of documents. I can't remember specifically, but it seems there's something that is like an addition that you can easily do with GPT4All that makes it, in some cases, more recommended over LM Studio. But okay, so I'm going to choose a model. I'm going to choose, let's just choose Llama again. So it's loading the model. Okay, taking its time. Okay, this is the 8 billion parameter model. So maybe that's why it's taking this long. Okay, so you can add files so that it's aware of that and chat with it. So I can say, tell me Joe, tell me a Canadian Joe. Why did the Canadian bring a ladder to the party? Because the drinks were 2-4. You get the joke. Anyway, I can interact with these also code-wise. Okay, so let's see the code I have here. So all you have to do is just pip install GPT4All and then make sure you have the whatever you want to run, you want to load, make sure you've installed it. Here you have it as part of your installed models. Okay, so once I have that done, I write the code this way, and then we can run this. And basically just say, so I will debug and show you more about the artifacts that are created while it is running. Check, we'll see it here. I don't know why this gives this error, but it's still going to work. Just gives this mainline CUDA. Oh, CUDA is related to GPT, the GPU. So probably this has the ability to run on GPU. I'm going to explore that more because I've got a PC that's got 12 gig, 12 GB of GPU, and I should be using it. So this might take a while, and I can go back to checking if there are questions for me. And we can answer the questions that already have come up, okay? So let me start with what do you think of Microsoft Fabric? So Luke asked, what do I think of? I am a Power BI developer too. Now everywhere is getting dark. Let me, before you basically only see my eyes, let me change the exposure of my camera. I'm going to just it is the so it becomes slightly more visible. All right, so this way. So what do I think of Fabric? Fabric is there's no more Power BI, there's now Fabric. That's the right answer right now because it's either you don't want to use Power BI anymore for you to avoid Fabric, or you just end up using Fabric. But if you are talking about the entire suite of Fabric products, yes, I think it's a compelling offer. I'm already exploring the Fabric data agents. I'm liking the user data function, which is like Azure function. There are tools in it that I'm exploring, and I'm happy that the fact that it's now housed in one platform, and just by me having an access to a workspace that is a Fabric workspace, I hope you are aware that it's no longer possible to buy a Power BI license separately. You have to buy a Fabric license. So I think that's the new pattern with Microsoft as regards Power BI and Fabric now. So there's no more Power BI separate from Fabric. It's just Fabric, and Power BI is one of the tools. So I think it makes a lot of sense. That's the answer. For my AI for my AI adventures, I'm beginning to look more into Google Cloud Platform because I go to conferences, and all the conferences I've gone for so far, I've identified that LangChain is ahead of every framework. So I'm like, I have a day job, I'm busy, I need to keep up in other things that I am actively involved in while I'm getting to become a proper AI engineer. So I want to just pick the best tool. The same way they will say, oh, if you're going into cloud, pick AWS or Azure, and you'll never be wrong. So when I'm looking at the AI space, Google to me seems to be ahead of everybody else. They are Vertex AI, Gemini. It's the things I'm seeing, and when I'm part of some communities where we're always speaking with startups, pre-seed companies that are like 1 year old, raising fund, and those that are in the AI space. When we ask them what tech stack they are using, I think 90% of them say they are using Gemini, and I started wondering what's special about Gemini. And when I went for Google Cloud that happened this year, and now I understand why. It's got the largest the largest context window. The pricing is great. They allow you to set, OpenAI is going to release models, and you will have the expensive reasoning one, the general purpose one, the cheap one. They will release a lot, and they're expecting you to be knowing when to switch from one to the other. Whereas the approach that Google is using is they're releasing one model. They will always tell you it's Gemini 2.5, whatever name they give it, maybe it's now Gemini 3.0, and then you set it. The thinking, the reasoning is a setting. So you're able to set it that you want more thinking, or you make it dynamic. They are giving you, which I see is the future. I don't want to have an AI agent where I have to start scratching my head. Am I supposed to use a reasoning model or a general purpose model or a miniature reasoning model? What if the use cases begin to evolve? What if a user will ask a question where my agent will need a reasoning model to answer it, and another user will ask a question, or the same user another time will ask, and maybe I don't need a reasoning agent. Why will I be paying for that compute, that expensive token price? So with Gemini, I am able to use one model and I'm setting it, I'm making it aware of how to dynamically adjust pricing wise, thinking capability wise, and that I see is the future. And the suite of product within the Vertex AI, video, imaging, and video is for video, imaging is for image. There's another one for audio, Viva or something. I find it to be, I like the approach they are taking. So even though I'm a Microsoft shop person, I don't delude myself. I tell myself the truth. I think Google is ahead of everybody. Okay, so let's see the other question. By the way, the answer has come out. So let's see what other question. So look, my summary answer to your question is yes, Fabric is the way forward if you are using Microsoft for or anything BI related. Fabric is just the way forward. For AI in Microsoft is AI, Azure AI Foundry. But if you are building for enterprise, the way you are using Power Automate, Power Platform, then just use Copilot Studio. But if you are building for any kind of users and you want to not be, pigeonholed to just Microsoft environment and maybe a particular tenant, then you have to use AI, Azure AI Foundry. But if you're just building for the tenant, you're a citizen developer, use Copilot Studio. What does the load okay, that was when I was here. It's just to load my environment. So because I'm recording this video, I cannot share it. But you see this file, right? This is where I put my API keys, things that are sensitive that I don't want anybody to access. So I put them in this environment file, and then this loads and makes it available for use here. So that's what it does. It's a common way of programming in Python where you want to put things that you don't want to make visible within the code itself. Okay. Do you typically work with GenAI as a data engineer? Right now, no. All of what I'm doing with GenAI are my own. They are not what my client or my day-to-day work requires. So they are me looking at the future or looking at things that are personal to me, and I'm using GenAI to do it. Like the last one that I walked us through in the webinar, where we did a we did a daycare agent. That was useful to me because I am actually looking to switch my daughter's daycare. The daycare that we were using and were happy with at the end of last year, like I think October or September last year, they said they were not going to continue with the uh, provincial subsidy, and so the daycare cost more than doubled. So we started paying more than 1,500 per month for daycare. So I started searching for daycare, and this was useful. I was able to use this to search online, tell it to, I told it to, I told it that you are a research agent. You, I gave you a persona. I gave the agent a persona that is detail oriented, and that what are important to me, the location, name of the daycare website, summarized online view, summarized price, and then I gave it a search tool. So this is what I was saying. It's because of time I'm not able to demonstrate this. When I use Gemma, this will not run. Why? Because of tool calling. So this is what we call tool calling. Tool calling is when you give your LLM, your agent becomes, that's what makes it an agent. So the LLM becomes the brain, then that it has hands. It's now like you've given it capabilities that are beyond just thinking. So this is like ability for it to go online to Google and search. Then you can search online to find what is current, what I trust Google search for, and think about the result. And based on that, it should give me a summarized online review, price, what's the, and when we did this, it gave us answers, right? We went online and he searched and he gave us, like this daycare is, that's revealing File Explorer. think the one we even did then, we did one that searched for a lot more daycare and a lot more responses. So we went online and this daycare says fact. It's going to Quadra. So as positive review, this is the case, competitive pricing. They even gave me price for these. Atelier charges 680 per month. So these are the things that I wanted, you know. So all I needed to do was to go to Toronto website. Toronto has a website where I could find all the daycares. So that was what I did. I went to Toronto early child something. Yeah. And so from here, I could get all the centers, and all I had to do was just put their names in a list. So I put their names in a list like this. So once I put the names in the list like this, I triggered the LLM, the AI agent. I told the agent to get this, to the agent to take this list, the input list. In fact, this is how the agent works. There's a workflow diagram that shows how the agent works. PNG. This. So it's a reasoning agent. It's this one. Take care. So it goes online search, then it thinks about the answer, then it goes more, it goes online to get more results, and it keeps iterating until it thinks it has enough details to give me what I want. So this is what we call a reasoning agent. This is actually a genuine agent. This one is what we call a it's not even a router. This is just a chat. You're just chatting with the agent. It's not doing anything that requires going to do something outside of its own inbuilt capability. Whereas this meant it could go online, use a tool. If you remember, I showed you, I gave it a tool. I gave it a web search tool. Let me find it too. And this is the beauty of LLM, the fact that you become very good. I mean, of AI agent building, you will become very good at prompt engineering. Define things. You do zero shot, one shot. You had dynamic content. It's beautiful. The moment you start to do this, right, you you begin to enjoy this more than you just passively using ChatGPT and Claude and Tropic. So, all right. So, let's move this away. I think we are done with what I have as agenda. It's the questions we are working through, right? I've already done this last bit, which is the one on the GPT4All, and you've seen the result. This took forever. I think I wouldn't be using this for any real time stuff, for any programming. It took maybe like 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then let's go to my slide and see if there's anything I need to look at the slide that I want. So this is my slide. Maybe this is an opportunity to just again show you what we walked through. So we started with Ollama. I'm going to share this slide. Make sure you are on the meetup group so that you get this link to this slide and record it. So I told us you just make sure you install Ollama. Don't bother searching online, because sometimes when you search, they will say it doesn't work on Windows, but it's not true, because not that they were lying, they are lying, but things change really quick. So you don't want to trust what you see from its blog post of last year. And then we walked through all of these. Ollama has got a web UI, but I don't use it. I think it's open source. It's developed by someone that they recognized. And if it works for you, all good. I recommend using Chatbox. And then I showed us how to load, the local LLM to the chat box. Then we did LM Studio. This has a chat interface built in already. Okay, sorry, my daughter is back, and apologies. And then I showed us how to connect via CodeWise and use it as you would, do if you're programming with the other, like Gemini, OpenAI, LLM APIs. Okay, and then I showed us GPT4All. Again, you can download them and share the link to these two, and then also how you code, where code can interact. So we are at the end, and let's see if there are any more questions before I call the session, bring this session to a close. And so yes, LM Studio. Let me also share the link for the GPT4All. Yeah. Yeah, I see more questions have come in. I'm going to answer them. Okay, so I go here. So I stopped at, let's see. You typically work with JD. So look, the answer to your question about do I typically work with Jenny as a data engineering? Right now, no, but some of the things I've been using them for are for things I would have done as a data engineer. Scraping data online, thinking on it, look at that daycare one. I actually did a live project that was similar, but it's not daycare, it's just confidential, I can share. And they were going to, it's the kind of project that someone would pay for. So as a it's easy to cross from data engineer to AI engineer, if you ask me, because there are so many use cases that it does make sense. Can you share the GitHub link where you will share the chat? Okay. So that's a good question. When I'm done, I will send you an email. I'm just hoping I'm not going to be too tired at the end of today. If you go on my GitHub, eventually I will publish maybe we'll do it now. So I'll publish, let's just do it. I'm going to go here, but I have to be sure I don't make publish my keys and all. Okay, I'll publish later. Yeah, so I'm going to eventually put everything in my repository. So you will see it in my repository page. The code will be on my GitHub. So just check. And like I said, make sure you're part of this community so that when I send the email that's got all the links, you get everything. But thanks for bringing that up. At least now I will be sure to remember to include it in the email I send. Then can I ask why you chose Streamlit, not other framework? It's easy. Streamlit is, let's just demo it. You see how easy it is. So let's take the one that didn't take too long to run. So like this, right? Remember when I ran this? Not reachable, LM Studio, into LM Studio. So the answer I want to demonstrate to you is that Streamlit is very easy. Like I don't have to do too much. Like what I have now, I can showcase it on Streamlit. So let's run this again. I know I need to enable LM Studio server. So server, and now I'm going to run this. So you see, it's come up with an answer, right? What if I want to show this on Streamlit? So all I have to do is say import Streamlit as st, and then I'm going to say st.write a local LLM demo. Okay, and then all I have to do is say this same answer instead of just printing it. I can just say st.write, and it should write the answer. I can put a divider, st.divider. So there'll be a line, and that's all. Now, all I have to do is just go here and say Streamlit run name of this file, LM Studio. And once I do this, okay, let's save this. Once I do this, it's going to launch a web page. See? You see how easy it is, right? And it's working. So that's why I use it. Every other thing else to me will have been complicated. So, and I can see the answer that. So that's why I use Streamlit. Let's see another question. I don't know. Fast API is, I think Fast API is going to require more than this. See any other questions? Are we getting the recording of self-study outside of, let me just publish all these questions. Apologies for the background noise. What? I just publish some questions. Okay, yes. What outside of LLM are the skill set required of AI engineer? Also, why are interested pivoting into that field? So I think if I am interpreting your question correctly, what other skill set are required as an AI engineer outside of LLM? I think right now Python is the language for AI engineering. It's the dominant language. So I would say Python. Then prompt engineering too. I know most of us will think of it as a big deal, but there's a lot of big deal around it. I'm currently going through documentation by OpenAI and Anthropic on LLM engineering, and it's Anthropic one is the most detailed. So if you're able to look for it, Anthropic LLM prompt engineering. So they've got an extensive resource. So they explain, you can see, it's a very detailed resource on how examples, what to do when you prompt it correctly, what will happen, approach. So I'll say, this is the most comprehensive doc on it by any of the major foundational tool developers platforms. So I'll say go, take a look at these. And then LLM engineering is, prompt engineering is another key skill set, even though most of us don't think of it that way. There's also evaluation. We're hoping to bring one of the startups at the edge of it. So this startup, I think we're going to bring the founder in August. That's the time we put. So there's being able to evaluate, like have unit tests, build a process where you can make your AI agent production ready, and it's not just a free-for-all text. It can take the questions people ask, structure it in some ways to align with, for instance, what Microsoft has done with public data engineer. So with public data agent, what Microsoft has done is that they've done something similar to what this tool allows you to do. So they've documentation. They've made it such that no matter what question you ask, it will only answer with stuff that are SQL queries. In fact, SQL select statements. So everything you give it, when you ask it any question, it is going to, there's a place to explain it. Yeah, see, Fabric Data Agent only generates SQL, DAX, and Cusco query language. So this is what a tool like this allows you to do. So it allows you to give bounds. And that makes sense. Why? Because it cannot hallucinate. When you run a SQL query, it's only going to give you results that are already in the DB, right? So there's no hallucination. It's not like creating stuff that don't exist. The worst case would just be that you did the wrong query, like it went and queried sales table instead of querying expense table, something else. That's the worst that can happen. But not that it said there's a value that is 5,000 and you go look in your data set, you can't find any value that is 5,000 in your data set. That's hallucination. So they bounded it, which makes a lot of sense. So you too will find that there will be situations where what you want to build, you want to control either the process that the agent uses to generate the outputs, Because what most of us do is we structure the output. We say whatever output that comes out, I want it to come out in a particular structure. But what if you want to limit the process that the agent uses to come to that answer? Like what Microsoft is doing with Fabric Data Agent. They're saying the agent should only generate, it should only go through this approach to get an answer for the user, right? So that's another skill set. For now, you can get away with not knowing it, but just so you're aware that evaluation and you being able to set a rigid workflow through some of these tools are important. Unit test is going to be, then you also RAG, understanding how to, you know, understanding the difference between fine-tuning, prompt engineering, and RAG, and when to do which one was also important. But trying to say top three things, it will be Python, it will be uh, prompt engineering. Third will be just keeping in the space, being aware of all the tools and using those tools so that you are as knowledgeable as anybody else, an expert like you are a prolific user of the AI tools that exist today. You will, just like internet, someone who is internet savvy, why some of us are good at making more value, squeezing value out of the internet than our grandparents. It's purely boiled to the fact that we spend more time on it than they. So it's the same approach to spend more time, with AI agent tools and in the entire ecosystem, and we learn a lot of things that someone will not know. Are we getting the recording? Yes, that's a good question to even close the session. So the recording will be available on YouTube at this channel. So the recording will be available here. Be made available. Okay, so thank you very much. I think we have used 24 minutes beyond the time, but I hope you found value in it. I know some people have to go, but thank you to those who stayed to the end, and please don't forget to sign up for our next month's session. So next month, like I told us, it's we've got a very popular and someone who is at the forefront of this AI agent. He runs an AI company and they've raised money. He's a big personality. If you Google him, let me just Google his name for you so that you get to understand what I'm saying. Award-winning, popular person. So we are lucky to have him, and please don't miss the opportunity. Sign up for July session. Okay, so thank you very much, and I think I've answered all questions. No any questions. See you next month, and make sure you watch out for the email. If you are not sure you get email, just make sure you go here and join this community. Once you are a member of this community, what I do is all I do is at the end, I click contact. So maybe also set that you want to like get group announcement. So I click these and I then send an email via this, and that's the way I send all the details. So see you next month and have a wonderful rest of the week. Bye.